Hi everyone, it's Kute here, sending you big love wherever you're listening to this right now. In today's short video blog, I'm going to talk a bit about how do you deal with your difficult and sometimes challenging parents. You know, no matter who we are, we're all born into this human existence. We all have parents, and our parents sometimes are some of the most challenging relationships you will ever have. They might upset you, piss you off, frustrate you, but many times deep down we love them. From the moment we're born, our parents are the ones that set the imprint for our lives. Our parents are our first teachers, gurus. They're the ones that teach us what to believe about life and society, and often how they speak to us, how they love us, whether they're there for us or not, affects how we feel about ourselves. Our parents have a huge impact on our lives. What impact are your parents, whether they're dead or whether they're alive, having or have had in your life? It's never easy dealing with parents. It's often said that if you want to see how enlightened you are, simply go spend the weekend with your parents. All of a sudden you do all this spiritual work, emotional work, you go spend the weekend with your parents, and all of your stuff, all of that childhood stuff that you thought you resolved, the anger, the frustration, the resentment, all of that stuff often comes up to the surface. Somehow, maybe you've had this experience. Your parents just know, whether they're trying or not, just by being themselves, they just know the exact button to push inside of you that can drive you crazy, that can cause you to lose your center. So what does it take to have a great relationship with your parents? What does it take to shift your relationship with your parents, so even if they're difficult and challenging, so that they don't trigger you, piss you off, upset you, and cause you to lose yourself, right? What does it really take? Ultimately, consider this. I believe that we as souls incarnate into this human experience because we have lessons to learn. And so I'm going to propose that your soul chose, that's right, your soul chose your parents. Your soul chose your parents because based on the lessons that you were here to learn in this lifetime, they were the perfect parents for your soul's growth and evolution. They were the perfect parents to teach you the lessons that you need to learn, that your soul needed to learn in this lifetime. Your mother, your father, based on who they were the perfect teachers for you to learn the lessons you needed to learn. So ask yourself, what are the lessons that my parents are here to teach me? What are the lessons that my parents' souls are here to teach me and help me evolve through? And rather than focusing on what they did wrong, rather than focusing on what they didn't give you, rather than focusing on how you wish they had been, see your relationship with your parents shifting. See it as an evolutionary opportunity, an evolutionary spiritual practice that they have invited you to learn the lessons. Focus on the lessons between you and your parents. What are the lessons that my mother, my father is here to teach me? And realize this, that your parents may not have given you what you wanted. They may have abandoned you. They may have abused you. They may not have been around. I'm not saying that that's right. I'm not saying at that time as children that was okay. They should have been around. They should have been better. But I'm also going to propose that given their level of evolution, given what they knew, given their soul's growth, given their own spiritual practice, that your parents did the best that they knew how to do at that particular time, based on their pain, based on their conditioning, based on how your parents were treated by their parents and by their grandparents and by their culture. Likely, if they didn't give you what you wanted and what you so needed, and as a child what you so deserved, your parents were also in a lot of pain. And they probably didn't know how to deal with that pain. They probably didn't deal with that pain. And all of a sudden, they became parents and they had to deal with you, and they just weren't equipped. That doesn't condone them. That doesn't make what they did right. That doesn't mean there's not a responsibility that they have. But recognize this. If you want to be free, you have to be willing to let go of being a victim. You have to be willing to take responsibility if you want to have a great relationship with your parents. And you have to realize that they simply did the best that they knew how to do at that particular time, given their resources. And realize that your parents also are not perfect human beings. They are also on their soul's journey, whether they know it or not, and they have their own soul's evolution and growth that they need to go through in this lifetime. Your parents, they're dealing with their own stuff. Your parents, they're dealing with their own lessons and their own selves, let alone trying to raise you. So recognize that they, independent of you, have their own journey. Unlikely unlikely did your parents at some point when you were a kid wake up and go, okay, what are all the ways I can screw my kids up today? What are all the ways I can screw my child up? They just didn't know better. It's not an excuse, but we must be willing. You got to be willing to let go of blame. And consider this. If you're an adult now, likely if you're watching this, you're an adult, you're over 18. At some point, I'm not saying your parents shouldn't have given you a certain thing, shouldn't have given you some comfort at a particular time. But if you're an adult now, to be free and have a relationship with your parents, a great relationship with your parents, whether you see them or whether you choose not to interact with them, regardless of what you choose to do based on where they are and who they're not, your parents at this moment owe you nothing. Your parents underline, I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice if they went a certain way, right? I'm not saying it wouldn't be nice if they didn't see your perspective, if they didn't see you, if they didn't understand, if they didn't call you, if they didn't give you some things. But just if you're an adult, recognize that your parents in this moment owe you nothing. They birthed you, they gave you life. If you really think about it, the gift of life, that alone is a profound gift. Doesn't excuse them, but it's a profound gift. So be willing to give up any sense of victimhood, any sense of blame for what they did do, what they didn't do, and the sense that, or any sense of entitlement that your parents owe you something. At this moment, they owe you nothing. When you're able to free them from that responsibility, effectively you free yourself to move forward in life without any expectation. The other thing that often keeps us stuck is we're constantly trying to make our parents be what we want them to be. They didn't give us certain love growing up. They weren't a certain way. And so because we don't accept that, we're constantly trying to get our parents to be what we want them to be. And the reality is we get frustrated when they don't give us what we want or when they're not how we want them to be. Ultimately, if you want to be free, you must learn to accept your parents exactly as they are. Before you were born, before you were a twinkle in their eye, and before you were born, your parents were alive. Before you were born, likely their patterns, their ways of being, their conditioning, likely they were the way they were because that's how they were regardless of you. They didn't suddenly start becoming that way because you were born. They were likely the way that they were before you were born. And so consider this. How they're being and how they're not being isn't necessarily about you. How they're being and how they're not being isn't personal. When we take it personally, it causes us to feel pain, rejection, hurt, and frustration. Don't take how your parents are being personally. They were that way before you were born. And so stop expecting your parents to be different. They are how they are. And when you're constantly wanting your parents to be different from what they are, when you're constantly resisting who your parents are, it will not only upset you, drive you crazy, make you mad, cause you to feel hurt and rejected and pain, but you will not fully be able to receive the love, whether it's small. I'm not saying it's ideal, but you will not be able to receive whatever it is that they actually are able to give you in this moment. It may not be a lot. It may not be what you want. They may never be what you want. But the more you're able to accept your parents exactly as they are, it will free you up to accept them fully. It will free you up to be able to then receive whatever they are able to give you. Whatever they are able to give you. And I promise you this, likely if you love your parents in some way, if you care about your parents in some way, what they may be able to give you may not be exactly what you always wanted, but it will be something. It will be something. So honor the connection that you have with your parents, whether they're in your life or not. Whether you choose to be around them or not is your choice. Because if who they're being doesn't, many times we don't want, deep down, we don't want to accept who our parents are being, because deep down we still want something from them. We still want them to be a certain way. And we're afraid that if I accept my parents as they fully are, completely as they are, then we have to give up this childlike hope The kid inside of us has to give up the hope that we won't get our needs met from them in the way we wanted them to be met. So part of the fear of, if I truly accept my parents as they are, it might mean that who they are currently being absolutely doesn't work for me, and that means I don't have a relationship with them. And so sometimes our non-acceptance of our parents is our way of resisting having to let go of the relationship, is a way of resisting that we may not have the relationship that we wanted. But I believe this: when you accept your parents, you can honor your parents. And whether you have the exact parents that you thought you wanted, I promise you, and I invite you to consider that you, as a soul on a journey in this human experience, you have the perfect parents you needed for your soul's evolution and growth. You wouldn't be who you are. You wouldn't be who you are today, this moment, if they weren't the way they were. That's not an excuse, but you wouldn't be who you are if Oprah had different parents. She would not have achieved what she achieved. If Elon Musk, if Mark Zuckerberg, if Mandela, if Gandhi, if any of these people had different parents, they would not be who they are. They would not be able to have accessed the gifts that came about as a result of their lives, their experiences with their parents. You have the perfect parents for your soul's evolution. Honor your parents. Honor them for what they are. See your parents as souls on a journey, and honor their souls. When you honor their souls, you activate your ability to receive the blessing of the gifts from your parents. Folks, if you enjoyed this blog, I invite you to please share it with your friends, with your family, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel and my email list. You'll receive consistent weekly inspiration from me in your email box. Love now.